The British deep state's trying to bury Palansky because they will allow anyone, even rabid fascists, to win over him. Palansky says journalists have been contacting his friends to get dirt on him and failing spectacularly. I've had so many friends, I'm literally talking maybe 20 or 30 in the last few weeks, who have phoned me and said a Times journalist has been phoning and they've been desperately trying to find things about your past. They asked me lots of questions and seemed disappointed I didn't have some juicy, dirty gossip. I really hope that in spite of the blitz against him, they are able to overperform in London, the Green Party. I really, 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 really hope. It seems like this media campaign against him has worked, you know, to the extent that his unfavorability has increased by like 15 points. Well, yeah, bongers are crazy anti-Semitic. I mean, yeah, at least according to the fucking political art they keep making of him, the goddamn cartoonists.
I just want to bring you a breaking story about Zach Palansky, who we've been talking about, of course, in relation to those approval ratings. He has apologised in the last few moments for claiming to be a spokesperson for the British Red Cross. This is in relation to...
Man, you volunteered for them. Don't ever apologize. You should never, ever, 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 ever apologize. Never apologize. You are fighting the Antichrist.
Story in the Times, the British Red Cross telling the Times that Palansky has not been a spokesperson for the charity, saying it's raised the issue with the Greens. He had claimed it on a personal website back in 2020, where he said that he was really proud of the work we do, falsely claiming to be a spokesperson for the Red Cross. But we can tell you now that he has, in the last few minutes, apologised. I used the wrong word, but I accept that.
Telling the BBC in the last...
Is that really an apology? You can't give them anything, man. He said it once 6 years ago. They have legitimately been going insane over him. Absolutely insane. I'm really hoping for some good news in the UK because I feel like we're going to end up going down the same goddamn direction. I mean, look at this shit. It's like every single British publication, the whole media class.
The Green Party has gone up like a rocket since he took over. On the political gains that have been made, its position in the polls is nothing short of astounding. But with a rise in popularity like that comes scrutiny. And I think that Zach Palansky has been found wanting on a number of issues. There's some stuff he does wittingly. I mean, you know, given where Palansky is getting his support, I mean, his attack on the police in Golders Green was fascinating in so many ways because, yes, of course he condemned the fact that two Jewish men had got stabbed. But what do people remember about it? People will remember him complaining about the police. He then apologises for it, which creates another news cycle about the police and the treatment of a Muslim suspect on the ground. And then he clarifies it further by saying, I shouldn't have done it on X. I should have done it in a private conversation with the Met Commissioner, which gives it another news cycle. So all the time, and, you know, I was in America throughout the whole Trump first term, and whenever there was a controversy, Donald Trump was brilliant at letting the controversy run so that his supporters would get what he was saying, and then he might take down the post or whatever, or apologise for it.
But the focus was on him.
But nevertheless, it had done what he achieved to do. And I think that it seems, this is conjecture, that Palansky knows what he's doing here.
This is how bad it is. Greens are basically Trump to our media. I really don't even see that much mainstream media, from the UK, I mean, condemnation of fucking Robinson, you know? Like, it feels like, despite the fact that they're so bad. I mean, Christ, he just threatened to put concentration camps. Sorry, not Robinson. That's the different. Robinson's the supporter. The head is Farage. Thank you. Sorry, they're both like mainliners in the party. If in Robinson's case, not de facto. Our media loves Farage. Oh, they do.
This level of delusion is absolutely wild.
Oh, this fucking guy.
Can a woman have a penis?
Yes. It's going to take them a long time on the National Health Service to get rid of it. That's another separate problem. I think you're lacking nuance and complexity about a pretty complicated
Not really. You couldn't have been clearer.
Actually, when you want to look at the science...
You were crystal clear. Ask a simple question.
But you're laughing at it, which I think demeans trans people.
Absolutely ridiculous.
What have you got against trans people? Why are you punching down? Why are you not saying
nothing against trans people? I've already told you.
Love the Rattlesnake TV logo on this, like he contributed a lot to the clip. Amazing how the British media considered Farage untouchable 10 years ago, but now that the left is surging, he's suddenly okay. Same thing happened with Trump after Jan 6. After Jan 6, basically everyone dropped him, but now everyone chills with him. I saw like a bit, the Pawn Star, the head of the Pawn Stars, the TV show, you know, that fuckwit, he was like, yeah, man, I love Trump. You know, everyone loves Trump. There's no political consequences for associating with these people anymore, even though they've gotten worse with time. Oi, oi, oi.
Closer to a movement than a traditional party campaign. This is how the Green Party has found an audience at late-night socials, gaining ground where the governing Labour Party is losing trust with young voters. It's led by self-styled eco-populist Zach Palansky.
We're here because we want to get people elected, and we want to get people elected to change our society, to change our communities, to make sure people feel hope and they feel that plan.
He says the party is still focused on the environment, but it has broadened its message. Palansky has put issues such as solidarity with Palestine at the forefront of their campaigning, together with policies such as abolishing private landlords, decriminalising drugs.
Which tells you why they're so against him, you know?
I'm joined now by the News Project's editor at the Sunday Times, James Kearney. Hello, James.
Good morning.
You'd have got that, Edam. Poor man was thinking of Gouda.
Oh, dear. I'm no cheese expert, so I probably wouldn't have done, yeah.
No? Edam, always red. Like a baby bell.
Like a baby bell. I get baby bell.
Baby bell's just...
Society to come together, the media, business, community leaders, other faith groups to come together and call out this anti-Semitism for what it is, and that is racism, pure and simple. We cannot tolerate it. We will not accept it.
So that was the Cabinet Minister Steve Reid speaking to Kate McCann and Stig Abel. You can hear them every morning, of course, on Times Radio from 6. And in the last few minutes, the Metropolitan Police have said they're investigating arson at a former synagogue in Tower Hamlets, East London, this morning.
A mosque. Hasn't been a synagogue in a long time. It's a mosque. Total union across the media class.
We'll have more about that later on the show. James, I want to talk about the language the Prime Minister is using this morning. He's expected to say these disgusting attacks are being made against British Jews, but make no mistake, this crisis, it is a crisis for all of us. Interested in whether it's a crisis. It's bad. It's a horrifying social trend. Is it a crisis?
Well, I think there's lots of good lessons to be learned here from what happened in Australia, actually. Well, after the terrible shooting attacks in Sydney, we sent a reporter from the Sunday Times out there to go and speak to the Jewish community out there. And what we found there was a pattern of missed warnings, essentially. You know, we were able to look back at that attack with the benefit of real hindsight and go and plot what had happened in Australia and Sydney over the past 2 years, with politicians squabbling, with lots of local authorities basically arguing about what constituted anti-Semitism or not anti-Semitism. And also, there was also this rhetoric of pro-Palestinianism, which had been, you know, there were
rhetoric of pro-Palestinianism.
Two sides to that. One is a very kind of strong feeling about what was going on in Gaza and the pro-Palestinian language that was there. But then there was the pushing of the other side of it, which went straight into anti-Semitism, and the merging of the two sides of that debate. And what we saw in Sydney was that people didn't take enough warning from where these two boundaries started merging into each other. And I think that might be what is going on in Keir Starmer's mind, that we've seen enough serious incidents in this country now where somebody has to be seen to act. And we've got a Prime Minister who's massively under pressure. We've got local elections coming up. Now, whether or not this is a problem for the whole country, I think is actually where it's more pertinent, because you can go to lots of parts of the country and there aren't very visible members of the Jewish community there.
There are none in most parts of the country.
Exactly. And when you live I live in Surrey. I was brought up on the South Coast. I grew up in communities where you didn't really come across any members of the Jewish community. So it's very hard, I think, for lots of people in the country to appreciate that what is going on in parts of, say, Manchester or parts...
Zionists are so fucking anti-Semitic. It's even more rawly because of capital in the United Kingdom, because they don't even have the evangelicals that we do. Like in the United States, in addition to the fact that we have more Jews, and Jews in the United States are much more culturally prominent because they're very, very prominent in, you know, New York and Los Angeles, which are like the two cultural juggernauts of the United States. But even in addition to that, the United States has, Christian evangelicals for whom Jewish control of the Levant is part of a religious conspiracy theory. The United Kingdom does not have that population. There are some, but not many, of those evangelicals. So it's just capital. How does one distinguish between Jews and Zionists? Well, Jews refers to a religious belief or cultural affiliation or ethnicity, and Zionists refers to a political belief. Let's not forget that per Charlene, much in the origins of the late 1800s Zionist movement was sending the British Jewry elsewhere. Yeah, no, the original Zionists were, very similar to like black separatists in the United States, where the early black separatists would often agree with white supremacists because they both believe that black people just shouldn't be in the United States, in the post-war United States, after they were no longer slaves. So yeah, probably still a good bit of that in the United Kingdom.
Parts of North London are actually relevant to them, but that doesn't mean it's not serious.
Yeah. Well, I mean, having grown up as a Jewish kid in Edinburgh, I think it was pretty much when I went to university was the first time I met a Jew of my own age that I wasn't related to. So I mean, most of the country is not like Manchester or London. I think what's interesting now. I mean, I obviously speak to quite a lot of British Jews because I am a British Jew, and a lot of my family are very much embedded in the Jewish community, and they would say our lives have changed immeasurably over the last 2 years, and nobody has cared. And I guess what interests me is whether this is something that can be done through policing. When this can be so the Prime Minister is expected to announce an extra £1 million towards the Common Ground programme to pay for things like interfaith projects and schools initiatives. Is that the kind of thing that does it? Because I worry it's bigger social trends, and it's like you can tinker at what kids are getting taught, but is that what fixes the problem? Maybe it is.
It's bigger.
Nobody's cared. It's all the media talks about. It literally is all the media. It's nonstop. You cannot escape the looming specter of Jewish feelings as described to you by non-Jewish elites in the political and media class. It's nonstop. I've never heard about anything more in my entire life. Oh, that's unfortunate, Benjamin.
Social trends, but it's also it's very difficult also to cut through what is a feeling of anger towards what lots of people see as the Israel's overreaction, and I use the word overreaction because you could say there's a justification to retaliate to what was happened on October 7th, but lots of people see this as a huge overreaction by Israel, and so therefore, how do you balance the right to free speech to be critical of Israeli actions while also making sure that
But you don't want people to be critical of Israeli actions.
You don't tolerate hate speech, which pushes into anti-Semitism. Now, I don't know how you possibly can communicate that and teach that lesson without it being very complicated. And actually what we've seen, I mean, we've got some very difficult decisions coming up for the police. We've got more pro-Palestine protests coming up on the streets, and the police are going to have to. We went too far, probably before I think the police would say, where we had Palestine action. There was a tolerance of a lot of Palestine actions, but then the boundary was pushed too far.
Yeah, sure, and there's a pushback against the pushback. Look, before we move on from this, and I'll try and say this carefully, but there are local elections looming. It is helpful for Labour to paint the Greens, Zach Palansky particularly, as soft on the question of anti-Semitism within his party. The fact that this is a big issue, it's not the government's doing that this is a big issue right now, it's because there have been attacks and it's been a growing issue. It is not unhelpful for the Labour Party that we're even having this conversation.
It is helpful, but I would say that if you're going to tackle an issue, then ahead of an election is a good time. But you then have to live up to your promises.
Yeah,
that is.
On the day before the local elections, the Times is running this on the front page of their UK page, which is a hit piece on Palansky. Where's the mention of Farage? Oh, let's see what we've got here. Starmer warns Arts Council England on anti-Semitism. What about Farage, the fascist? Farage's family out and forced to flip Tory heartland. That's not even negative. The Times is dog shit? I mean, yeah, but it's what you got, right? This is what they're running on the front fucking page. Zach Palansky falsely claimed to be a spokesman for the British Red Cross while crowdfunding his campaign for deputy leader of the Green Party. What they mean by that is that he said spokesman, but what he actually did was volunteer for them. That's it. It was like one time mention. What's this website layout? I don't know. It's archive. It's the add-on being mad. The add-on's being mad at me. Really grim polling. 40% say the UK would neither be better nor worse off if Jews left the country because of anti-Semitism. It's such an anti-Semitic country. What do you mean almost a majority of the UK does not care if anti-Semitism makes all the Jews flee the country? This is the country where the entire fucking media and political class are fully committed to servility to Israel. One in which basically the average member of the population genuinely doesn't give a fuck. That's crazy. It is weakest among 18 to 24s, 22%. Man, young British people, only 22% of them think the UK would be much worse off if all Jews were driven from Britain due to anti-Semitism. Look at the smears Labour's pulling out about the Greens. From London Labour. Greens exposed. Are they doing this for reform? I'm genuinely asking. Are they doing this for reform as well? Name Carlota Allam, or whatever. I've seen this story, though. This woman was groomed into being a drug mule, cooperated with the police after her arrest to catch the drug dealer responsible. Since 2006, she's operated a charity giving disabled mental health patients, current and former prisoners access to the arts. 30 years ago, this member of the Green Party was groomed and exploited into being a drug mule, and since then has been a productive member of society. You know Starmer's friends with Farage, right? Yeah, they get along. This is a long thread. Let's meet the Green candidates Zach Palansky thinks are fit to represent London. Jesus Christ, man. Labour sees their main enemy as the Greens. The entire media class sees the Greens as their main enemy. They're all completely aligned on this. That is crazy.
Yesterday, Britain's Jewish community suffered yet another vile terrorist attack. 2 men stabbed in broad daylight on the streets of Golders Green because they were Jews. I've just come back from Golders Green, where I expressed my sadness and solidarity with that community, but also my determination to act. Because the truth is, this attack is not a one-off. There have been a series of attacks, including an arson attack in Hendon, an attack on the Jewish ambulance service, Hatzolah, the firebombing of Kenton United Synagogue, which I visited last week. And on top of all this, Heaton Park in Manchester last October, where 2 Jewish men were killed in a vile Islamist attack on their synagogue. And so people are scared to show who they are in their community, scared to go to synagogue and practice their religion, scared to go to university as a Jew, to send their children to school as a Jew, to tell their colleagues that they are Jewish.
It's genuine. It's like the it's like Christians, man. The war on Christmas business. Yeah, people are scared to send their child to school as a Jew. Really? They're really not high up on the list of target. Like, Muslims are easily the #1 most maligned major group in the United Kingdom. That's not even remotely arguable.
Even to use our NHS. Nobody should live like that in Britain, but Jews do. And so yesterday, this anxiety that is always there went to another place, to terror, frankly. That is the right word. I want to thank the Jewish security services who wrestle with this every day and who, alongside the police, prevented a much greater tragedy yesterday. I met some of the first responders today, and on behalf of the country, I thank them for their bravery. We will strengthen the visible police presence in our Jewish communities. We will increase our investment in those Jewish security services. We will introduce much stronger powers to shut down charities that promote anti-Semitic extremism.
Oh, really? Just really going for it, huh?
We will prevent hate preachers
More surveillance
from
slop.
entering our country, bar them from our campuses, our streets, our communities. Work with our justice system to speed up sentencing.
Funnily enough, Netanyahu criticized Starmer for the speech, by the way. He said, words are not enough to confront this scourge.
On anti-Semitic attacks. So there is a stronger deterrence factor, as we do with riots. And we need stronger powers to tackle the malign threat posed by states like...
The UK threat level, the terror threat level was raised from substantial to severe, and that the government has declared they are facing an anti-Semitism emergency. There wasn't, not even a single person died, man. It was one guy, and the first person who was attacked was Muslim. It's fucking crazy. It's crazy. This is insane, by the way. The London police announced a 100-officer force solely to protect Jews. Are they... Okay, genuine question. Are they trying to make the JQ real? Like, I don't... Really? With public tax dollars, a specific religious protection force exclusively for Jews. Are you trying to... Are you doing a bit? Do we need to register with the government as a Jew to get this personal protection? Fuck the dude, I'm converting. Fuck this, man. Let me be a celestial dragon, okay? I'll learn Hebrew. I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna be unstoppable. Jews in the UK mainly speak Yiddish. Well, historically, that was the case in the US as well, but Hebrew is the Hitlerite language.
Because we know for a fact that they want to harm British Jews, which is why we will fast-track the necessary legislation. And yet, the truth is, while we can and we will bring the full power of the state to bear on this...
Isn't modern Hebrew literally like made up by one guy who guessed what he thought ancient Jews spoke? It's a syncretic language designed to be the cultural force, or one of the cultural touchstones behind the Israeli colonial project. It's not really like a historical uncovering of ancient Hebrew. It's more like we think this is the gist of it, and also we're mixing in some Arab, you know, because Arabic is like a current spoken language. It's not like Latin, where like Latin has this big, rich preservation history because of the Bible and so on. It's just they associate Yiddish with, it's the language of the weak Jew. The submissive, the European who allowed themselves to be killed by the Germans, versus Hebrew is the strong Jew who kills Arabs and so on, you know?
This is about society, every bit as much as it is about security. At moments like this, we often say, this is not Britain, that these attacks are an affront to British values, to British tolerance, British decency. But they keep happening, don't they? And so today, instead, I will simply say that our values are not a gift handed down generation to generation. They are something we earn each day through action. They come from us. Anti-Semitism is an old hatred. History shows that the roots are deep.
It's so wild that no other group gets talked about like this. Like, not even remotely close. There's no other religious, ethnic, or national community that gets this kind of deference. There's no one else is treated with the kiddest of gloves.
And if you turn away, it grows back.
Black people? Nuts. No, not black. Not even remotely. In the United States, it's not really as much of a thing in the UK, but in the US, nobody shows the level of institutional deference to black people that Jews get. There's not a single group, not even white people. It sounds crazy, but it's objectively true. Like, you could not talk about white people in government the way you talk about Jewish people. With this, like, constant bipartisan, like, we must commit all the resources of our society. We must sacrifice every constitutional protection that we enjoy, all of it, all for the sake, no cost is too great if it means further protecting the Jewish community. Nobody else gets talked about like this.
Yet far too many people in this country diminish it. They either don't see it or they don't want to see it. Take the marches that happen regularly across Britain. Of course, we protect freedom of speech and peaceful protest in this country. But if you are marching with people wearing pictures of paragliders without calling it out, you are venerating the murder of Jews. If you stand alongside people who say globalize the Intifada, you are calling for terrorism against Jews. And people who use that phrase should be prosecuted. It is racism, extreme racism. And it has left a minority community in this country scared, intimidated, wondering if they belong. So I say again, this government will do everything in our power to stamp this hatred.
I swear Starmer and co are paving the way for reform at this point. They literally, Starmer's friends with Farage. They literally are. They're fine with it. They don't care.
Out. We will strengthen our security and protect our Jewish community. But I also call on everyone decent in this country to open their eyes to Jewish pain, Jewish suffering, and Jewish fear.
Sorry, I learned this from my favorite Jew, actually. Facts over feelings. Sorry.
Call on everyone to come together.
I'm a little tired of hearing how I gotta respect people's feelings. I want facts. Lay it out on the table. I want facts.
And fight anti-Semitism. And I call on everyone to fight
another 20 trillion to Jewish
for the
feelings.
Decent, respectful, tolerant Britain that I and millions of people love, so that our freedom and our values can still speak loud and true.
Say this about black people, you'll never hear the end of it. Oh my God, can you imagine if a U.S. politician got up there and said that they were creating a specific task force for protecting black people, and that listen, I know we enjoy the right to freedom of speech and protest, but the feelings of black people need to be protected. Can you imagine? Oh my God, they would be fucking annihilated from orbit. Meanwhile, over here, like all UK publications are like, yep, this is fine. Yep. Global fucking nationwide anti-Semitism crisis. Yep.
A community that can no longer take it on faith.
Why do neoliberals have lower approval ratings than other leaders? Because they're not very good at tricking people into voting for them. They're not as good at narrativizing. Please vote Green tomorrow, man, if you're in the UK.
An apparent arson attack on a disused synagogue in East London.
Really? Disused synagogue? An attack on it, huh? Out of curiosity, what is it now?
Little damage was done, but it was telling that forensics officers should be meeting on the steps of a synagogue just as senior police officers joined politicians and Jewish leaders in Downing Street. They heard the Prime Minister suggest that Iran could be behind some anti-Semitic attacks.
Jesus fucking Christ. Dude, it's every new... Look, this is the BBC. Counter-terror investigation into synagogue fire. And then the first sentence, former synagogue, follows a series of attacks and attempted attacks on the Jewish community in recent weeks. Da-da-da-da-da. She added that building targeted has not been operational as a synagogue for some years. But that'll be of little comfort to the Jewish community in Tower Hamlets, Hackney and beyond, who are first in my thoughts this morning. Counter-terrorism policing are looking into potential links between this incident and recent attacks to the Jewish community in North and Northwest London. Is there any mention at all? Any mention at all? Hamza, who lives near the former synagogue, which he believes is being turned into a mosque? Which he believes? This is your future? The former synagogue was due to be sold at an auction building earlier this year with a separate bid by a Muslim group to buy the building and convert it into a mosque and community center. Oh, I didn't realize that the bid hadn't been accepted yet. Okay, my understanding of the issue then was a little bit inaccurate. That's my fault. I will say, though, if somebody was to commit an anti-Semitic attack, wouldn't they set fire to a synagogue that's being used as a synagogue and not one that's up for sale? It sounds to me like, if anything, they're protesting the potential of it being acquired by a Muslim group. The language is still beyond Muslim. Oh, it doesn't change the fact that this is insanely misleading, 100%. Don't you think the narrative sounds a little bit different? After bid by Muslim group to convert synagogue into mosque offered, there was a fire there? Doesn't that sound a little bit different? Absolutely anything will be used as evidence that there's an anti-Semitism crisis because that's what they'll use to take your rights away. They are already taking your rights away.
Here.
Our message to Iran or to any other country that might seek to foment violence, hatred or division in society is that it will not be tolerated. That is why we're fast-tracking legislation to tackle these malign threats.
He told the gathering public bodies would do more to tackle anti-Semitism, but Jewish representatives still think the government can go further.
What more should the government be doing now?
We want to see actual use of the powers that the police have to restrict the protest.
If you keep telling non-Jewish people that they have to choose between the feelings of Jewish people and the preservation of their political rights, they're going to make the choice. You can't keep doing this. You are unambiguously saying like your rights are less important than our feelings. You're not going to like the direction people go with this. They know what they're doing to the Jewish population. The average Jew isn't responsible for any of this. They're just living their life. They're just complaining about gas prices like the rest of us. But fucks like this, nonetheless, are perfectly okay sacrificing their entire fucking population because they know they'll get to have some swanky estate in the West Bank afterwards. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. The BBC article seems to have lied, by the way, about the bid placed by the Muslim group. It looks like the synagogue has been closed for a long time, and the Muslim group acquired it before the auction. It was sold before the auction to the DB, the Asha DB Education and Cultural Center, and they've already put down a £250,000 deposit. So when the BBC here not only doesn't mention any of that, but lies and refers it to Hamza, who lives near the former synagogue, which he believes is being turned into a mosque, this is just a lie. This arson was almost certainly from a Zionist or from somebody affiliated with Zionists who was burning it as a protest to the fact that a synagogue is being acquired by a Muslim group. That is infinitely more likely than another interpretation. If it was an anti-Semitic attack, why the fuck would you light it after it's been acquired by a Muslim group? That doesn't make any sense at all. The former synagogue was due to be sold at an auction this year. You know why they use this language? Was due? Because it was bought by that Muslim group before the auction. They're lying by omission here. Was due implies that there was supposed to be a sale, but there wasn't. But there was a sale. The BBC is deliberately omitting this information because they've decided the narrative for you. It's fucking insane, man. Oh my God. Every media group, all of them, all of the media, across the board, just lie after lie after lie after lie after lie. They will turn literally any story into a justification for the revocation of your rights due to the phantom of rising anti-Semitic violence. This is the UK, what are American outlets saying? Here's CBS News saying London knife attack keeps Jewish community in UK on high alert. So take from that what you will. Of course, the CBS News has been captured by the Ellisons and is run directly by Barry Weiss, a hyper-Zionist. So you can take from that what you will.
Which are taking place, taking into account cumulative effect and some of the incitement that takes place.
It really is the issue of our time. Opposing Israel and its reach and the people who are associated with it is more important singly as a political issue than almost anything else. It goes beyond a litmus test. It is like the root of evil. Mind you, again, and I have to keep insisting on this so people don't misinterpret me, what I'm talking about ultimately is just a core capital group. Israel itself isn't the issue, nor are Jews. Zionism, they're all wedges. They're all expressions of a set of political interest that are given a kind of community identity because it makes it easier for them to defend. None of this would fly if the British government was like, we want to take your rights away because wealthy people want to, you know? They have to frame it like this. And they're being very aggressive in doing so.
On those protests, we want to see prosecutions, we want to see use of the full force of the law.
This evening, the Crown Prosecution Service did announce measures to speed up hate crimes.
The prosecutions he's referring to, by the way, are for pro-Palestinian protesters. He's not referring to the person who did the stabbings. That person has obviously already been prosecuted.
prosecutions, and some politicians also want pro-Palestinian marches banned.
Those marches have become a festival of hatred. The people who may have wanted to have a protest about Palestine and so on, they have made their point. What those marches are now are providing...
They have made their point. Sorry. Yeah, no, not opposing genocide? Yeah, we get it. Thanks. Move along.
Cover for the really awful events like what we saw in Golders Green last week or in Manchester and Heaton Park several months ago. It's time to put a stop to them.
Anti-Semitism is now becoming an issue in the local elections, with Labour publishing an attack on the Green Party, highlighting past comments by Green candidates.
But every single one of them was said or written or shared by people who are standing for election for the Green Party.
What comments? You're going to just, you're going to say what they said, or are you just going to allude to them?
Visiting a synagogue today, the Lib Dem leader also...
I already knew the answer.
...attacked the Greens.
I'm afraid we've seen from candidates of the Green Party, from the Deputy Leader and the Leader of the Green Party, an unwillingness to stamp out anti-Semitism in their own party and indeed to allow people...
Reform, Labour, Tories and Lib Dems all in coordination attacking the Green Party, the only party led by a Jew, Zach Palansky, the day before or the days before the local elections.
To make anti-Semitic remarks and not be punished. That is unacceptable.
The Green Party themselves turned down our requests for an interview today, but their leader, Zach Palansky, wrote that the relentless attacks from other parties showed they were doing everything in their...
The black woman we saw earlier of the Tories, I love this. In early April 2025, Badenoch, that's the black woman we saw, was the subject of cross-party condemnation when she defended Israel's decision to refuse entry and then deport Labour MPs Yon Yang and Abtissam Mohammed, who were traveling as part of a charity delegation. In response to Badenoch's comments on Sky News that she respected every country's right to control its borders, the UK Foreign Secretary released a statement. A few days later, after Badenoch criticized the government of China for not allowing the Liberal Democrat MP Ira Hobhouse to enter Hong Kong, she claimed the two situations are different. Just a few days apart. Israel has the right to control its borders by deporting our MPs. China doesn't. Just a couple days.
Power to stop the Greens.
Carl is here to talk about all this. Let's just start with what the government is or isn't doing about anti-Semitism. Sir Keir Starmer says he wants to crack down on it. What's he actually doing about it?
Well, he's grasping at as many levers as he can possibly reach. I mean, today his speech ranged from everything from Iran, as you heard in my report, to Arts Council funding and how that would be stopped if it was being used to promote anti-Semitism. So it is a very broad-ranging problem. He will certainly be doing more of it as the month goes on. There's a big review into hate crime and public order legislation. I expect the government, that will report before the end of the month, and the government will take further action then. Police, by the way, will have to take a decision in the next couple of weeks about the next big pro-Palestinian march and whether or not to place restrictions on that in the way that Kemi Badenoch has suggested. The organisers of those marches, by the way, I should put their point. They say that doesn't make any sense at all, given that they have hundreds of Jewish marchers on them. So this is complicated and broad.
What an inconvenient fact for your narrative.
Ranging, and really it comes down to attitudes, which, as we know, can be very, very hard to shift. And in particular, but not exclusively, this idea that for some reason British Jews should be answerable for the actions of the Netanyahu government.
Moving on to the politics.
No one has ever said that. I have not seen a single person in the UK say that.
These are big, important elections this week, not least because something extraordinary appears to be happening according to the polls, which is the two main parties look like they're both going to be eclipsed on either side, right?
Something huge is going on. It's really interesting. I mean, the left-wing bloc and the right-wing bloc in British politics seem stable, but within those blocs, it's splintering like we've never really seen before. So actually, I think it's no surprise that we've seen Labour and the Lib Dems attacking the Greens because they're chasing the same votes. Now, that's not to say that the Greens don't have a big problem with anti-Semitism, by the way. Even their former leader, Caroline Lucas.
I'm sure. It's so depressing. A look into what the United States, to an extent, is right now, but is likely going to be in the next, 5-10 years. I give it 3. Yeah, maybe.
This was a moment of escalation. following a series of anti-Semitic attacks, with Jewish places of worship the target of organised arson plots across this corner of North London. The motivations of these anti-Semitic attacks appear to vary. Some suspected of being orchestrated by the proxies of foreign states, and others still under investigation. But a focus on security has now moved to expression. Today, the Prime Minister convened a summit where he made the strongest demands on the culture sector and universities.
Yeah,
we will now to suspend, withdraw, and claw back funding.
This follows concern over these
exactly Zionist proxies. I'm getting to the point where I assume that all anti-Semitic attacks that don't have a perpetrator that is immediately caught, things like arson, where you don't catch anyone, I'm just going to assume they're Zionist false flags until proven otherwise. It has happened like a lot. Like if you look up how many times it's happened a lot. Orchestrated by Israel, orchestrated by pro-Zionist groups. Don't really care. You're not taking my rights away. Well, you might take my rights away. Unfortunately, it looks like the First Amendment's pretty much in tatters anyway, but I'm not going to be happy about it. I will complain about it when you destroy the West. I will be unhappy. Notes, right now, taking the establishment media at its word for anti-Semitic attacks is like taking right-wing media at its word over like vaccine side effects, you know? I'm aware of the fact that any vaccine, including well-researched and tested ones, will have side effects to some portion of the population, and I'm interested in understanding that and to an extent preventing it, like to the extent you can prevent vaccine side effects. But like, there is such a motivation to dishonesty and so many obvious cases of dishonesty from the people who are presenting that information that it feels irresponsible to even engage with it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's the world they're building. They're building the torment nexus. They're building a world that is definitionally, and I mean, again, this is the explicit project, built around the sacrifice of the Jewish population to bring about the rapture. That's what they want. That's what they're trying to build. So, like, you know, I don't know, man. I feel like the best thing you can do to prevent anti-Semitism is to stop Zionists. Reducing Zionist influence and Israeli control over Western governments is the best thing you could possibly do for the innocent Jewish population in these countries who, in many cases, even if they're Zionist, are just Zionist in like a stupid, passive, self-interested way. Like, you know, they're told by every media outlet that Zionism is necessary for their safety, and most people are stupid, so they're like, oh yeah, I guess, you know? The average Jewish Zionist is not like these fucking deep state freaks. Friends of Epstein, friends across the aisle of each other, no political principles or priority. They just want to take your rights away. The average Jewish guy's just paying $6 a gallon for gas right now, you know? They're not responsible for any of this. And the best thing that we can do to help them is to prevent people like this from sacrificing the entire fucking civilization we all live in to the specter of anti-Semitism. Christ. Anyway, vote green.